Many thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Okay, let's get our conversation on the Senator Natasha versus Senate President Godswill Akpabio on course this morning. Well, a whole lot of reactions have been trailing the decision by the Senate to suspend Senator Natasha for 6 months. Well, for some, that's really huge. For others, the rules must be followed. Our panelists today will be in our Benin Network studio and, of course, our Abuja Network studio to drive this conversation. Let's welcome to the Benin Network studio Engineer Comrade Emmanuel Ogbidi, who is the president of Network for Civil Society Organization of Nigeria. Emma, thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning, Sonny Duke, and good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, Abuja Network Studio, where we have Ikaro Atta on standby. He will be joining us shortly, but let's get the conversation started. Well, this issue has raged on, but from the decision and action taken against her, the feeling is that there are rules of engagement, there are rules of business, there are rules of engagement. Do you think these rules were followed, strict to censor, by the senator? And do you think that she was denied her voice being heard, like some feminists and analysts would want us to believe?
Okay, thank you very much. I want to state categorically in my stand and opinion that very squarely I stand with Senator Natasha on these issues, because I've taken my time to follow the happenings and the developments. Her assertions vis-a-vis the actions and punishments that have been meted on her on this issue. First, reason because we have advocated several times that women should be encouraged within the political space to engage national issues, whether at the state or at the federal level. And we have seen a woman who has come out, to find herself in that space, not minding the challenges she had during her electoral campaign and elections in Kogi State. And she emerged. She has demonstrated high level of consistency, capacity, and brilliance in engaging national issues. In spite of that, finding herself in a very uncomfortable political space as we have in Nigeria, she also decided to keep her fidelity, to keep her loyalty to her marriage, to the female gender, as well as to her constituency. And she has said, I am being victimized. Why? Because I have refused to compromise in some aspects. Whether anybody is denying or anybody is saying that is not true, that is a matter for another day. But we all know, for those of us who knows the political terrain, there are many things that we cannot deny. There are many facts that we cannot take away from the political setting. That there are a lot of victimization, especially to the female folks. Those who want to become anything, we know how they are being, subjected to certain decisions and all of that. Now, to her suspension. The suspension is, to me, is illegal. The suspension is an attempt of weak men, in quote, to silence the voice of a very vibrant and intellectually balanced female senator. They must not forget that they are all senators. First among equal becomes the Senate president. But there is nothing that made Natasha short of every other senator. No law says that a co-senator can suspend another senator. It's like suspending a whole constituency, millions of people. Whether the House rules or not, if the House rules is to take preeminent, then the actions, punishment, and suspension should be an issue that is within the House. If it becomes an issue that borders on the Nigerian state, outside the Senate's purview, then the Nigerian Constitution must come to play. Okay. Now, just to anchor that point, if they have said, Senator NATASHA, you will be coming to House of Assembly, but you will be on the gallery to observe proceedings and learn. And in this 1 month or in this 6 months, which is outrageous, you must have to enroll in the legislative studies to know the rules of the House and the rules of engagement. That is more humbling. It shows the fact that you want to groom her, like the Senate president has asserted that some of them are caught mainstream senators from the court, which does not make any sense. Whether you coming from the court or you coming from the one of election, it does not.
You went for an election.
You went for an election and you won. Okay. So if that was the punishment, then Nigerians would sit back to say, okay,
let me pause you there, Comrade Dima. Let's join our Abuja Network studio where Ikaro is on standby. Ikaro.
Very much, Mr. Sunday Duke Okosun. We are hoping that we could get Barrister Charles Umbelise on the line to actually share his thought on this. But the conversation is much. You could see how passionate comrade is there on the set. Okay, I think we're having Barrister Charles Umbelise on the line. Very good morning. Let me call you my lead counsel. Wonderful morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, my brother. Good morning, ITV. Good morning. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. It is NATASHA, Akpabio, and the rest of all of us. What's your take on the 6-month suspension?
Well, on the suspension, I know that before I talk about my take, I know that there are a lot of school of thoughts on the issue. A lot of school of thought still believe that the 6 months is too much, and some school of thought believe that this is supposed to be about 14 months. If indeed there is need for suspension, a senator should not be suspended for more than 14 days, not 14 months. And a lot of school of thought believe that nobody have the right, no senator have the right to suspend each other, because all of them are, constitutionally elected to represent their constituencies. So in all this, I want to, and I am also aware that there is a Court of Appeal judgment that have already spelled out that it had to do with the Bauchi State House of Assembly. The Court of Appeal stated it clearly that no senator, that the House of Assembly has no right to suspend a speaker, because that speaker is not an employee of a House of Assembly. So in other words, that is the case law that is prevailing now. And I want to align myself to the position of the Court of Appeal, to the fact that you cannot suspend a representative or a senator that has been elected by his constituency to come and represent them based on the constitutional provisions that every constituency should have representatives in the lawmaking in the National Assembly. So, as much as I believe and I agree that there should be rules, and the Senate has rules, but that's the fact that they are all equal before the law, and this head and the executive are just primus inter pares, and those rules.
We hope we can re-establish connection with our Abuja Network studio to continue the conversation there with Barrister Umbelise, who's been giving some legal perspectives on the NATASHA suspension against the background of court rulings and judgment on that matter. That seems to be a major talking point, that the Senate doesn't have the powers to suspend its members.
I agree entirely. As it stands now, there's no other judgment that has varied the judgment of the Court of Appeal in Bauchi State between one of the legislators and the Bauchi House of Assembly, which stated in two aspects. One, that a legislator is not an employee of the National Assembly. Hence, they cannot make a punishment of suspension on such a legislator who is just like every other legislator, in this case a senator, like every other one. That was established. And two, they also said that the remuneration and the constituency vote of Senator Natasha does not belong to Natasha. It belongs to the people of Kogi Central. So no senator or group of senators or majority of senators can withhold, can take away the dues that belongs to the entire people of Kogi Central because they feel Natasha has breached the House rule. So in two cases, one, on her remuneration, it lies on the Fiscal Allocation Commission to determine on that aspect if there's anything that has to do with her finance. The Senate has no power to go into that aspect. Then on her suspension, the Senate as well can make a punishment that has to do within the House, because it's a House rule. Because any rule that is at variance with the Nigeria Constitution, when it is subject to analysis, to the extent with which that rules, whether it's in your Susu community, whether it's in your house, you made that rules, to the extent with which it is at variance with the Nigeria Constitution, that rules becomes void. And in this issue, it is void because it is at variance to the 1999 Constitution as amended, that nobody can suspend a senator.
Well, some would say ignorance is not an excuse based on her breach of the law in the rule book. And you have also said that whether or not her sexual allegations against Akpabio are true or not is not a matter of today, but I'd like to make it a matter of today. What if, as some speculations have come in to say that after breaching the law, she has come up with sexual allegations as a rancor to distract from what is actually the issue of her breach of law? What do you have to say about this?
Okay, now, you see, I have said something before. If you look at the actions and decisions that the Senate has taken, you will directly or indirectly begin to find way to want to believe the assertions of Natasha. Because the suspension which says you are suspended as a senator, don't come to the House of Assembly.
Come to the National Assembly.
Don't come to the House of the National Assembly. Don't speak anywhere as a senator. Your remuneration, you cannot have access to it, is suspended. It is an attempt to silence.
Not to be the.
I'm coming to your question. It is an attempt to actually silence her from engaging in her complaints and the allegation which she has not made unconsciously. She has stood on it. Now, why I feel it is she has that right, and there is an issue to be investigated there. She is saying, I have had in several occasions, this sexual advancement made to me by the Senate president. And I have watched the happenings. My refusal has led to a series of victimization. That first, I have had cases where I'm supposed to move a motion, where I'm supposed to push a motion as regards a project that is paramount to my constituency, for no just cause. It has been stepped down. And certain privilege has been withdrawn from me. Not just today that the issue of sitting arrangement. No. I have been passing through all of these things, and it is traceable to the fact that I have not given in to certain advancements by those who are authorities in the Senate, which is very, very germane to me. What we expected from the Senate as an honorable house, or a house that is hallowed is that however ingenuine that assertion is, there's supposed to be an open investigation. Let's look into this matter.
Okay.
Mr. Senate President, somebody has laid an allegation against you. What is your take? But what we are seeing, because ordinarily, maybe majority of these senators also have one or two things, favor they want from the Senate President. And it's an opportunity to show solidarity or to show support to the Senate President, and they all find themselves keying behind the Senate President. Not because they really believe, because they know themselves. Let me tell you the truth. You see all these senators, they all know themselves. They know what they do. They know what they don't do.
Okay, now completely.
Now that is on the clear term.
Yes.
So Senator Natasha has she's a victim.
Let me pause you there, and let's quickly link up with our Abuja Network Studio for more conversation on this. Okay, we'll be joining our Abuja Network Studio in a moment to drive the conversation further. But you talked about, you know, you're also making some allegations, by the way, that the senators, they know themselves, they know what they are doing.
Yes.
Do you have evidence?
No.
Yes.
You see, there are in every group of people, even within the political space, you understand, we have very good and very seasoned politicians with integrity.
Is this political, this incident? Would you describe it as political?
Now, you see, it is both, it is more of morals. It is more of personal issues than political issues. Are you getting me now? Because even though Natasha finds herself within the minority of the oppositions, she has, within that window, tried to strive to make impact as a senator. Okay. Are you getting it now? But the level of victimization and deprivation of of some of our privileges is more of the fact that there is something that those who are authorities within the Senate want from her that she is not giving into. But let me tell you the truth. In several ways within the political space, we know what happened, like what was prevalent in our higher institutions before. Okay. You hear people say, you hear students complain.
Not to touch you.
Yes.
She has grievances. It's clear she's made them in a very assertive way. Some would say in a very disruptive and in a rancor kind of manner, in a house that's supposed to have decorum. There are processes. Why did she not go through these due processes if she really has, you know, these grievances to lay flat before the House? And also, there's an issue of her signing a petition that she wasn't even supposed to sign if she was supposed to, you know, lay it before the House. What do you have to say about her not going through the proposed processes to lay her grievances flat before the House?
Now let's look at the subject matter, the issues. We cannot be minoring on the major and majoring on the minor. There is a major issue that has to do with her being deprived of effective representative of her constituency.
But those are based on her actions.
Yeah. Now, the issue of process and procedure or whatsoever as asserted is secondary. Now, let's look at the merits of her complaint in the hallowed chamber. If the Senate House is actually a house to represent the interests of every Nigerian, her voice should be seen as the voice of millions of Kogi, the good people of Kogi Central. Now, on that issue of procedure, you cannot tell the person who you are beating not to cry. The way and the manner and the extent with which such person cries is to the pain that you have inflicted on her.
Okay.
And let me add to that. She is saying, I am standing on order 10. That order 10 is like a lifeline. When you are it's like somebody who is drowning, has not been given the voice, has not been given the opportunity.
You can stand on order 10.
On order 10, at that point, she can be heard at anywhere, even if she's lying.
Yes, she still wasn't
on
heard.
the flesh. Yes, she still wasn't heard because she wanted to be silenced.
Okay, let me pause it there for a moment. I'll come back to you in a moment. Abuja Network Studio, where we also have the continuation of this conversation. Ikarata, yeah.
The fireworks is getting hot, and our guest is very passionate about it. And if you observe very clearly, the lawyer before him, and when they were all speaking, everyone appeared to be very much on the hot side. And we are just hoping that in the passage of time, we will look at all of this here. We spoke with Barrister Umbelise Charles, and we are hoping that now we can get Agunloye on the line, Ben Agunloye, to give us his own take on it, so that we can be properly. But I want to ask Ben Agunloye his perspective strongly on the political side of it and the side of expediency. What do we really think about all of this? Because there's so much talk, so much anxiety in some part. And I'll tell you very clearly, when I had to speak with some female lawmakers, they told me that. But if we get Ben Agunloye on the line, we will be asking him about his take. Okay, I think Mr. Ben is on the line. A very wonderful morning, Mr. Agunloye.
Yes.
If you want to ITV, can we get your perspective on Natasha's suspension?
Yes, I think my perspective will be straight.
Okay.
That in this matter, there seems to be people not separating the truth from the fact.
Okay.
The truth is what has been established, which cannot change. So for me, I would think that there has been a disrespect for rules and procedure. That is the truth, because it was on national television, we all saw it. So that rules were flouted and violated, that the upper house was desecrated, definitely cannot be accepted. To be of harassment or not, that is an allegation that is subject to investigation. So that remains an allegation until it is investigated. So therefore, I think the two issues should never be mixed together, and they should be treated separately. And of course, for those who come in the angle of gender, I think that there are as much as 4 females in the Senate. Now, if we say the upper house and it's a place for people with experience, we expect that the other 3 females are more experienced than she is.
Hello, Mr. Ben.
And so you will then ask the question why she got better posting.
Hello, Mr. Ben.
And better privileges than them. The last time I checked, 2 of the 3 females in the Senate were deputy governor. Adebuli was deputy governor for 4 years. The woman from Rivers was deputy governor for 8 years. And so if what we are counting on is experience, I don't think she is more experienced than any of those 2. And as for a refugee giver, I think a refugee became an engineer before Natasha was born. So the issue of experience, the issue of competence, I think was jeopardized in giving her more privileges and more power than the other 3. And so if you were given a privilege, I think that if it is withdrawn or changed, you shouldn't call for tantrum like the little child was taken away. So to a large extent, I think that we must separate the people from the issue, we must separate the truth from the fact, and then we can then properly do what should be done. So issue of disrespect for procedure should be treated as disrespect, and appropriate apology sanctions be made. It also be investigated, and if found worthy, whoever is guilty should be duly punished. But other than that, I think that a lot of people are just out there to blackmail, to mix issues, to mix emotion with truth, and then color the fact and think that we're talking about justice. Justice will require that known truths are left as truth. Allegations are investigated, and when the fact or the truth about them are found out, appropriate sanctions are made. That will be more of my own position.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ben Agunloye. The Benin Center is standing by with Comrade Emmanuel as the guest. And Asoni Duke, let's go back to Benin. We'll come back to you, Mr. Agunloye, in a short while. But I know for sure that Comrade Emmanuel is firing from all cylinders. They are very passionate about Natasha and believing that. That's what ask Ben Agoloye, what's your take on these issues being raised? And you are saying that, as far as you are concerned, she broke the rule and desecrated the Senate and all of that. Although you say agree that the issue of sexual assault must be investigated, Sonny Duke.
Okay, I'd like you to respond to the square points.
Now, let's look at the issues of procedure. Let's look at the issues of rules. Now, the issue of Senator Natasha was referred to the House Committee on Ethics. Now, the principles of natural justice, which demands for freedom of fair hearing, was Senator Natasha had before her suspension? What is the haste all about to suspend Senator Natasha and all of that to silence her? This House Committee, which is headed by Senator Neda Imaswe here in Edo State, who is supposed to make Edo State proud, an opportunity to become very more popular as far as senators and our representation is concerned, failed woefully.
This is subjective. You know?
Because yes,
subjective.
Yes, because his decision is like adding more salt to injury.
It wasn't Senator Neda's decision.
It was Senator Neda's decision, just like the Senate president presiding over
and he
the
had
Senate.
the responsibility to make a presentation
I am
on behalf of the committee.
I am coming there.
Yes.
I am coming there. You see, the same way the Senate president is presiding over the entire Senate is the same way that the Senate, the head or the chairman of any Senate committee is expected to preside over the committee with some level of intellectual balance to coordinate and to administer some level of legislative procedure in that committee so that their decisions are right and proper before the eyes of the law and the people. Now he presided over a committee which was supposed to look into an issue, and those who were involved, the Senate president was not called, was not heard. The senator involved, Senator Natasha, was not heard. And the committee came up with recommendations. Who does that? If Senator Neda Imaswe had taken the proper position to say, good, this thing has come to our table, let's give it a proper hearing, a proper briefing, and perhaps look into it within the Senate and provide a more robust Senate resolution that can bring peace between these two senators. It would have been more laudable, and as I speak to you, Senator Neda Imaswe would have become more popular in the Senate. But his position is now seen as carrying out the hatcheting job to hit the sledgehammer on an ant, to silence Senator Natasha, and he brought those evil recommendations to the floor of the House, and everybody immediately nailed it. I describe those issues as tyranny of the majority.
All right.
It is not proper.
Yeah, but the point must be raised. The point must be made that Senator Neda headed the Ethics Committee of the Senate. You referenced the fact that just the same way Senate President Akpabio is heading the Senate as the president of the Senate, but Senate President is the accused in this case by Senator Natasha. And in any case, Senator Neda Imaswe's job was to present a report of the committee that he headed. That doesn't mean that he unilaterally took that decision. He just had the opportunity to preside over that committee. And you know that in such a committee, I mean, there will be votings and all of that, which of course he cannot unilaterally do. And in any case, I'm very sure that you haven't made any effort to reach out to Senator Neda to find out if the efforts were made to reach out to Senator Natasha, if she responded, or what was the reason behind them going ahead with presenting their report.
Yes.
I know you are eager to respond to all of that. You'll respond in a moment. Let me quickly go for another break. We'll be back with you on the show, TMI, on the ITV network.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Many thanks again for joining us on the program. I said a while ago that, some of the issues that I raised, I would like you to respond to them before we link up with our Abuja Network studio.
Yes, very quickly. You see, as a do people, we are seen to be men who give respect to our women, we are seen to be men who give voice to the voices of our women. And we are not known, you know, to meet violence or to meet any level of injustice as it concerns gender. That is the effective or the idea that we expect somebody sitting in that position as the chairman of the committee, Senator Neda Emaswe. That is the position we expect him to take. You must agree with me that there is a lot of influence of the chairman of any city committee. That is why many times you see this senator, they fight to be chairman of Senate committee. Just as part of NATASHA's claim that she has even been removed from the committee she chairs as a chairman of a local content committee. You know, all of these are privileged because when you chair a committee, there are certain fast decisions that you take, and it's very key. Now, just imagine that Senator Neda Emaswe has taken a position to have minimum of 3-4 hearings on the issues that concerns Senator Natasha. To look into the issue, to look into her part, and make a recommendation that this issue should be looked and properly investigated by the General House, that the allegations of Senator Natasha are grievous and are heavy. And as such, the Senate President, during this investigation, must step down for the Deputy Senate President to preside in all of these things. It shows the level of independence of the individual senators. It shows the level of the honesty of the Senate, of the 10th Senate, and all of that. Okay. But he hastily made those what's it called, a resolution and sent it to the House. And as we speak today, you see, antecedents matters a lot. As we speak today, we wake up to a news report, and as you were asking me, we are going to write to Senator Neda Emaswe to respond to this allegation that is making Iran. Okay. That even in the U.S., in New York, Senator Neda Emaswe has been disbarred from practicing as a lawyer in U.S. because
we've not heard from Senator
a credible
Emaswe.
News report. That is why I said we will write for him to respond. He owes the door people to debunk those allegations with evidence.
Let me pause you there.
If not,
Comrade Ima, let me pause you there.
Yes, please.
Let's go to Ben Agunloye. Ben, the projection from here is that Senator Natasha was not given a fair hearing as far as this matter is concerned. I heard you talked about the fact that the rules of engagement were breached. Was that the reason why she wasn't given a fair hearing? If she wasn't given a fair hearing, where is the fairness? Where is the equity? Where is justice for her as far as this issue is concerned?
Well, if she thinks it's an injustice, I think the court is the way to go. But she's a lawyer. She knew there is the court. She knew there was issue at hand. Why going to the live television? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. In my opinion, it's more of an attempt to intimidate the Senate itself. And when you check her history, I think that she's been involved with one or two other altercations that you could link with attempt to intimidate others. I think that truth should always be separated from the fact. I will continue to insist. There is a difference between an event that has happened that we all can see and an allegation, and they should not be mixed together. Otherwise, an armed robber will be justified for getting into armed robbery because he had no job. Yes, he has no job, but he's been caught in armed robbery. He should be treated for armed robbery. If he survives the armed robbery saga, then he can now challenge the system for not allowing him or her to have a job. But you will not say because you are hungry, that's why you get into armed robbery. And then somebody will not be saying, it's because they don't have jobs. I don't think I agree with that kind of narrative. You have done something wrong, apologize, and then you can now make your allegation that you think that you are doing this. And when you come to changing seats, even in the 10th Senate, that's not the first time seats are changed. But it's the first time our seat is being changed. And then she's reacting so violently. Like I did say, before women, as far as I'm concerned, she's the least experienced. She's the youngest as well. While she was in the law school, Kingibe was already contesting, or even in the university, not law school, Kingibe was already standing election for Senate. Adebule has been SSG to Lagos State Government and has been deputy governor for 4 years. Banigo has been deputy governor for 8 years. So I would wonder what consideration that makes her to be shielded from all the others, apart from personal relationship of the husband with the Senate president. So if you are given privileges, it is not a right to abuse it. Because as we speak today, I think everybody seems to root for her, forgetting that there were 3 other, as far as I'm concerned, more experienced women in the Senate who were not given the privileges that she had enjoyed for the time that she has been there. Despite that, she even did not receive the same time with them. The other 3 women received before her. So I really don't think what is special. This is not a case of gender. This is a case of people taking personal relationships above official duties and, of course, not running the nation the way it should be run.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Agunloye. Thank you very much. I think before we quickly go back to Mr. If Sonny Duke will permit me from Abuja here to ask some questions, which some persons are already asking around here, is the fact that there's so much heat on Senator Neda Bernard in Maswell. Some persons believe is grossly inappropriate, is grossly not tight, because the lawmakers in the committee were very many who sat down with their chairman, who happens to be Mr. Neda Bernard in Maswell, let me call him a seasoned lawyer, and they all agree together. Why the sudden heat of Bernard, Neda in Maswell all through that? Some believe, even if Neda had erred, why is it that the entire Senate sat and not one person, not one of the 109 or 7 or 8 senator or whatever senator present were with NATASHA? That's what some persons are saying. Look, maybe Emmanuel Ogidi, we need to look at that. That it's not just a one-man thing. It's a game of the entirety of the Senate, the North, the South, the East, the West, who sat down. Even if, let's say, Maswell had brought in a wrong report, the entire Senate discussed on the report and agree as the entirety of the Nigerian Senate, not one dissenting voice, and tying the whole road, trying to slaughter distinguished Senator Neda Bernard in Maswell. Many believe is grossly inappropriate, although it's a social media frenzy, but many believe that maybe Comrade Ogidi will look at it from a broader perspective of the entirety of the Senate, and not just one in Maswell, trying to go against NATASHA, and that's the view some persons are holding. If you may wish to respond, Comrade Emmanuel Ogidi.
You see, very quickly, if you look at the whole scenario, you see, the Senate president seems to be very, very clever. He knows what he wants, and he knows who to use to get what he wants. And every senator you see in the Senate House are also passing through, directly or indirectly, what NATASHA is passing through. That we must understand, including the female lawmakers. NATASHA is only being able to muster the courage to cry out that this is what I am suffering. Every senator you see there wants 1 or 2 favors from the Senate president and can do anything or can avoid anything to be in the good books of the Senate president. The Senate president has wrestled with the temptation not to be seen to be taking some of these decisions by himself. And the question why is Neda now seen as the person, because it's not being seen as the very individual that was used to do the hatcheting job or to hit the nail on the head. It was sent to his committee.
Committee's job.
If I were him, as an Edo man, I would exercise some level of caution and restraint in dealing with this sensitive matter.
So what specifically would you have expected him to do?
We would have expected Senator Neda in Maswell's committee to have series of sittings in that committee to hear out NATASHA and even summon the Senate president, is he not a senator like every one of them, to respond to the allegations to the issues and haven't aggregated all their hearings, then I will come out with a resolution. And the resolution should be such that have human face. You now come up with a resolution that automatically, directly silenced a voice that is crying at the Senate. It speaks volume of the fact that Senator Neda Imaswen's committee was an extension of a discussion or whatsoever.
Were you there? Were you there?
Was an extension of a
were you there? That's an allegation. Were you there?
See, for those of us who have found ourselves within the political engagement, both from the school days, we tell ourselves that there is a sitting before a sitting. There's a meeting before a meeting. There's a decision before a decision. The decision you see at the floor of the Senate was taken yesterday.
Let's hear her before you are accused.
Yes, before you are accused.
Yes,
but just
yes,
to ask
please.
you my final question about this whole issue, seeing how fiery you've been supporting Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, I want to ask you, what if paraventure, heavy on the term paraventure, as this event spirals, it comes to light that it was just merely allegations and she was wrong or she was lying. Would you say that the 6-month suspension or maybe even a dismissal of this senator is validated?
Now, another thing, you see, the Senate committee or the Senate has immediately tried to narrow or run away from the issue of sexual scandal. That the issue that they are investigating as a committee. Yes, so yes.
You're not answering it.
I'm going straight to your question.
Okay.
The question that you are asking is as a result of the sexual scandal. But they are saying that the issue that they are meting such punishment on Natasha is the issue of breach of process and procedure in the house rule.
Okay.
True.
So I'm saying, if it is about the house rule, the dukes are, that we would have expected that a punishment be meted on Natasha on an issue that has to do within the house. Why not tell Nigerians that Natasha will come to the Senate every day, mark her register, and go to the gallery to sit down and watch every other senator? Why not tell us that Natasha should immediately undergo a course at the Legislative Institute of Studies to know more about the legislative process? And in that process, she's not allowed to move a motion. She's not allowed to support a motion. She's not allowed to speak at the House. Yeah. It is more humbly. Then you tell us that it's within the House.
We're just on the verge.
What they are saying now is it's like criminalizing a breach. Let's breach of House rule.
Yeah. Let's cap this conversation up. Let me quickly get to Ben Agunloye from my Abuja Network studio. Ben, I'd like to get your take on one of the line of sanction taken against Senator Natasha, which is that she shouldn't address herself as a senator. What power does the Senate have to tell a senator not to address himself or herself as a senator? The Senate didn't elect Senator Natasha. The people of Kogi Central elected Senator Natasha to represent them. And against some of the legal proceedings that have, kicked against this, how justifiable is this action by the Senate?
Well, that would be, I don't think that is fair enough. If you say somebody has misbehaved, it could be suspended from within the chamber, but they can't say that, in my opinion, because he was elected by his constituency. That he was elected, right, by his constituency, and for that reason, I don't think that his colleagues can say he should not parade himself as a senator. He remains an elected senator until 2027. But however, yes, some legislative function can be restricted within, in my opinion, within the assembly or representing the assembly until such a time she has duly apologized for creating pandemonium and confusion on the floor of the Senate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ben Agunloye, and of course, my colleague Ikaro. Thank you so much for bringing this conversation to life. Comrade Iman Obidi, thank you for coming on the program.
Just to add this, lastly, you see, we must now begin to give some level of look into the antecedents of people who actually represent us.
Okay.
Like we said, we are going to ask Senator Neda Emaswe to respond to the allegation.
It's looking like you have a personal issue.
No, it's
against
not personal.
Senator
You know why?
Neda.
No, the reason
from
is
the way
this.
you're going.
Yes, no, the reason is this.
Yes.
The reason is this. Gone are the days. It's like the people who lead us are either people who perhaps are rejected or are wanted or are convicted in America or in Europe, and they come back to hold elective positions, sensitive positions in leading Nigerians, and they are referred to as senators,
the people
and they are referred to as
elected
president,
them.
they are referred to as
the people
governors,
elected them.
and
So
all
we have to
of
deal with that.
So we need to look into some of these issues, the character and antecedent, just like the Senate president. Prior to NATASHA issues, we have had several women, also the NDDC saga, we have not forgotten.
Okay.
Also raising some of these issues.
Okay.
It should ordinarily have called for concern to say, let's torchlight this issue of women accusing the Senate president.
Okay.
Let's look into this issue, this antecedent of Neda Emaswe rejecting public petitions. Because that issue is very germane. Your client gave you a brief and to represent, and you did not. And you ran down to the country, and you were asked to respond to a petition several times.
I said
the
a while ago.
allegation is that
Hold on.
you did not.
Hold on,
so we are going to ask people also respond.
Hold on.
So that those people
so
will know
let's wait for his response.
Who is representing us?
Let's wait for his response.
If not, we have the right to
can't we wait for his response? We need to wait. We need to wait for his response so that it doesn't look like we're trying to be personal about. I mean, trying to be personal about the issue. I don't want us to be personal about
no, because we are not happy as a people that are representative.
No, you are not happy. You are not happy.
People, of course.
No, you are not happy. You are not happy. You are not happy.